evening, everyone. Testing, there we go. So I'm a former Phi Ed teacher and coach, so I have a really loud voice, so it's hard for me to talk into this and not blow your eardrums out. So thank you, Jordan. My name is Chris Lindquist. I'm the Director of Community Education for St. Francis Area Schools. I started here in 2007 and was a teacher and a coach in this building before becoming the Athletic Director, Activities Director at the high school. Did that for 3 years, and I've been in my current role for 3 years. I'm entering year 4. This is the second time we've hosted a Meet the Candidates event. We did one 2 years ago. Learned some valuable lessons from that event because we intentionally held that event later in the school year because it's really hard to pull this off early in the school year. The disadvantage was early voting had become a real popular thing, and we were so far past where a lot of people had cast their votes. We didn't really do justice to the people who really wanted to do early voting. So we moved the event up, which is why we're so early here tonight. This event is being put on by our Community Education Advisory Council. That council is a voluntary membership, and it is mandatory through the state of Minnesota. So we have a really good one. Jordan's one of our leaders of that event. Haley Deggle's in the front row. Haley, wave your hand. Thank you. You met probably Juanita, who is out front. There she is. She's in here now. Jerry Ites, he's in the back. He's out there. And Barb Anderson is also here. Barb, thank you so much for all of your guys' help putting this event together. We do encourage membership in our advisory council. And what we do is we look at ways that we can provide educational opportunities to our community that exist outside pre-K through grade 12. So we really do what we call birth to death education. That's outside traditional K-12 education. So we offer lots of classes in the evenings for adults. We run camps and clinics for the youth. We've got some online stuff too, guitar lessons. There's estate planning. There's AARP driving classes. We just had June's in the front. We just had Lunch Bunch last Monday, which is a kind of a fun, more casual play on Chanhassen Dinner Theater, if you will, right? Yeah, good idea. So thank you for being here tonight. If you're interested in joining our advisory council, please send me an email. It's chris.lindquist@isd15.org. If you go on the website, you can find it pretty easily. I'm going to let Jordan take over from here. We've got an hour and a half planned, so we've got a lot of structure to tonight, and it's a timed event. So candidates, Haley Deggle's in the front, and she'll give you that. She knows the timing, and so she'll give you that 30 seconds to let you know when you have 30 seconds left. If we get extra time at the end and have enough extra time, we have budgeted a few more questions that we can ask to help out. And then I'll give it to Jordan. So thank you, everybody, for being here.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks to all the candidates that are here tonight. If I can figure out this microphone here quick.
I'll get that. It's fun. Let me help.
No, we're good. I'll just hold it. It's all cool. All right, like I was saying, thanks for all the candidates that are here tonight to give us their thoughts and stuff on the school district and why to vote for them. So the structure is going to kind of go, we're going to give each candidate a 1-minute time period to give an introduction. We then have 5 questions where each candidate will get 2 minutes to answer that question. As Chris was saying, Haley has a 30-second yellow flag piece of paper that you'll hold up when there's 30 seconds left, so you know to start to wrap up your response. And then after the 5th question, we'll have a closing statement that each candidate can make, and that'll be a 1-minute closing statement. And then, as Chris said, if we do have additional time, we do have a couple additional questions that we could do if we do have that time. So without further ado, we'll start off with the introductions. So a 1-minute introduction, and we'll start with you, Andrea, for a 1-minute introduction.
Okay. Hi, my name is Andrea Anson. I have lived in the St. Francis community for about 4 years now. I have 2 young boys, and I've decided to run for school board because I would like to be more involved with the community, and I'd like to make sure that we're bringing values to the decisions that are being made throughout the school. And so looking at safety, curriculum that's based in standard academics and also ensuring a conservative budget.
All right, thank you, Andrea. We'll move down the line to Jeff for your introduction.
Hello, my name is Jeff. My name is Jeff Blake. My family moved into Oak Grove in 2002. We have 3 children. They're adult children. The youngest is in her senior year in college in Rapid City. I decided to run for the school board because I saw that a lot of these school boards are becoming political. I don't believe that being political should be part of the school board at all. I think everything that's done should have the kids in mind. All the decisions that should be made should be in the best interest of the kids, and it should be very straightforward and easy. Some of the meetings that I saw, it wasn't straightforward and easy.
Thank you, Jeff. We'll move down to Tom Hall.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Tom Hall. My wife, Lynette, and I moved into East Bethel in 1998, right after we were married. We have 3 kids that have come through the district. One's an adult, 25. We also have a 9th grader at the high school now and a senior at the high school. And, the experience we've had in the St. Francis community overall has been outstanding. And, the reason I ran for school board is Lynette and I have been talking about the direction of the school board, some of the things that are happening in the schools. And, a lot of it just is in alignment with our family values and what we see as the right way to approach education in this community. And I think it's important to the students, the parents, the teachers, and the overall community that we have strong leadership and conservative values within the school board so that it be aligned with the community. And that's why I decided to run. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. We'll move down to Jake for his intro.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. It's really important to see people showing up like this. I'm Jake Humphrey. I've lived in Oak Grove since 1996. My beautiful wife, Nicole, and my son, Jack, is in the 11th grade. I have a daughter who graduated in 2021. Both my kids had a fantastic experience in the St. Francis School District. My son is continuing to have the same. I want to run for school board because I believe I'm the type of representative that I would vote for. I actually was on school board from 2018 to 22 as a libertarian and someone who believes in term limits. I stepped aside to hopefully have other people step up when I noticed so many people weren't returning and that no one was showing up. I had been courted by a whole bunch of people in the community, students and other parents, and so I decided to, with the blessing of my family, to step up and do it again.
Thank you, Jake. We'll move down to Quadro. Am I saying that right?
Close. Not quite there yet, but yeah, I'll forgive you. My name is Quadro. I go by Coach K. I think K is easy for everybody to say. I live in East Bethel. We've been there for about 6 years with my wife, Sarah. I've been married for 19 years. Yeah? Okay. I'm running for school board because education is important to me. I have 3 kids that are in the district, one in elementary, middle school, and then the others in high school. And I believe when a community takes interest in our kids' education, I think we're able to push that forward. And I think we all agree that our district needs that. And I believe I'm one of the candidates that will be able to help to get us there. Thank you.
Thank you, Quadwell. And we'll wrap up the introductions with Rob.
Hi, my name's Rob Schoenrock. I've lived in the district for 20 years with my amazing wife, Andrea. We have 4 kids that we were raising. Caleb, who's a freshman in college, Emily, who's a sophomore in high school, and Haley and Sophie, who are in 7th grade. I'm a small business owner and active in the community. I'm seeking re-election to the board so I can continue to fight to ensure the kids are prepared for the real world. I will continue to advocate for more program offerings and be fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' money. I've been on the board now for over almost 8 years. We have done some pretty amazing things. First, the community passed a bond in 2017, and I was part of the bond oversight committee where we watched over all the construction projects. Also, as part of that bond, we refinanced it and saved the taxpayers over $2 million on the life of that loan. And that savings went back to the taxpayers. It was not spent. I was also on the board during the COVID. I'm very proud to say, but thank you.
Thank you, Rob. I did want to make a note, too, that we do have a few candidates that are running that. We had Matt Bukma, who had a prior out-of-town work commitment, so he is not here tonight. Same with Ashley Metz, who is out of town for work as well, and then Chad Workman, who had a family obligation tonight. And I believe there are some statements from those candidates that I will read later on, so I just wanted to make note of that. Before I move into the first questions, I just wanted to make the statement that the questions that we received were from the general public prior to tonight's event. They were vetted by the St. Francis Area Schools Community Education Advisory Council. And yeah, so they came from the public, and we're not going to accept any additional questions tonight, so what we got is what we're working with. So without further ado, the first question, and we'll start off with you, Jeff, as the first one to answer the question. In your own words, what do you feel is the role of the school board here at ISD 15?
I think the school board is to keep the direction of the school going forward, making sure that we provide the highest quality education for the kids, keep all the programs we can going. The district is going to probably have to pass a levy, so that's going to be one of the main focuses because the funding is much lower than what is around most of the other districts. I think it's overall, again, it's just taking care of the kids, going in that direction and going forward with them with that.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. We'll move down to Tom for your response on the question. I'll read the question one more time as well. In your own words, what do you feel is the role of the school board here at ISD 15?
Well, I think first and foremost, the largest responsibility of the school board is to hold the superintendent accountable for his performance and role as, guiding our schools. I think it's extremely important for the school board to represent the community, the citizens, the constituents that we serve in the community as it relates to education. And I think that, greater transparency, communications, and community involvement, it's what's going to drive the success of our educational systems. And, quite honestly, we can't get there without huge involvement from the community. And, there's a lot of decisions that have to be made on that front, everything from fiscal responsibility, curriculum, teacher salaries, and down the line. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to communications, collaboration, and, good leadership as far as our educational systems in the community. And that's what you guys will elect us for. You're putting your trust and your faith in our capabilities, and strengths, experiences, and a commitment to values that we bring to the table. And then our job is to represent not only ourselves and our values, but hopefully that you've seen through the electoral process that our values and what's important to us aligns with yours. And that's where the strength is going to come from in our overall community. Because, we can't do it alone. We can't go hide in a room in a closet somewhere and try to make decisions on behalf of the community as it relates to one of the most important callings that we have. It's teaching our kids the right way, instilling values, and preparing them for life beyond high school, beyond K to 12. Success in college, success in career, success in family. And those are all, important to the calling of the school board. It's not just about what happens in the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. We'll move down to you, Jake, for your response. In your own words, what do you feel is the role of the school board here at ISD 15?
So the written rule or the written role of the school board is to control the purse and approve policy that is sent up the ladder from the people that are employed under the superintendent. The school board hires and oversees the superintendent, but an important part of that flow chart that people need to realize is above the school board is our public and our constituency. That includes our customers, the students and the families in the school district. It also includes those without students, like the taxpayers in the community who have a vested interest in this community. So I would say the role of a school board on its surface is mainly to listen to our experts, approve or decline funding for projects, and also to look at policies and give feedback and work with our experts to implement. But then most importantly, to oversee and hold accountable the superintendent in all the works below that. One more thing, and this is of very much importance to someone like me who wants access to the people I vote for, it's accountability to their public. Back when I was on school board from 18 to 22, I answered every single call, text, email. I'll meet with anyone, anywhere, as I want to be the type of representative that I would like to elect. And I believe there's a lot of times where our community needs action beyond the normal chain of command if that's not working. And at that point, the school board can bring those voices to the table.
Perfect. Thank you, Jake. All right, we'll move down to you, Quadewell. In your own words, what do you feel is the role of the school board here at ISD 15?
So just by the name school board, school comes first. And so for me, I believe the school board its sole focus is to support our district, our school district. Now, part of that is what Jake talked about, funding, policy decisions, creating oversight for the superintendent and all that. But I think there also has to be that focus that, the schools are responsible for our next generation. So all the education that is going on, what kind of education are we getting in that district? What caliber of teachers are we having? Are we supporting our schools? Are we supporting our teachers? Are we supporting our kids with all the resources that they need to have to be able to, get to that next level? So I think the school board is one of the most consequential decision-making groups, and that responsibility should not be taken lightly. Obviously, there's a representation of the community, and so we are going to be kind of a stand-in for the community as to what the community wants to see in our schools. But there also has to be that independence where we are able to just take the facts that are represented in the school board meeting and be able to kind of dissect and come up with solutions that we feel are going to be representative of what the community wants, but then ultimately what is going to be in the best interest of all our kids. I am sure everybody that is in this room is very concerned and very plugged into, making sure that their kids have the best education. And so that is why we are all here, and anything outside of that, I think, will be selling the school board short.
Thank you, Quadewell. And we'll wrap up the first question with you, Rob.
Andrew's the last one to answer.
Yep, sorry, I got to wrap back around. Yes. All right, Rob, you're up. In your own words, what do you feel is the role of the school board here at ISD 15?
The main role of the school board is to watch the one employee that we have control over, and that's the superintendent. He is the one employee that we hire or fire, so that's the main role. We also set policy, approve budgets, but the main thing that we do is to oversee the school superintendent. Another role that I take personal is listening to all sides and going into the community and hearing what's going on and what their concerns or questions or comments are. So that's what I feel is the role of the school board.
Thank you, Rob. Now we'll wrap up the first question with Andrea. Sorry about that.
Okay. So superintendent aside, like so many have said, I think there's the three main pillars that the school board is responsible for. First, it is our students. We have to make sure that they are receiving the education they need to be successful in this world. It needs to be based in critical thinking and ensuring that when they get jobs and live in the real world, that they can apply those skills and that they have the basics of education. So students come first. They're the most important. Kids will grow up and they will one day be the leaders of this world. And so we have to make sure that they are prepared. Second is the teachers. You know, they have a tough job each day in the classroom and there's many challenges that they face. And so we have to make sure that we're understanding where their needs are and where we can best support them and understand their perspective. And then third, it's the community and making sure that we're representing how the community wants the schools to function, wants their students or their kids taught, and that we are really the embodiment of that and fighting for that as decisions are made.
Thank you, Andrea. All right, that wraps up the first question. We'll move on to the second question, and this one we'll start with you, Tom, with the first response. What makes you proud of the St. Francis Area Schools District?
Well, I guess for me, first and foremost, you know, a significant portion of my involvement with St. Francis Schools has been in the athletics programs. You know, started with my son Mason, who came through, played football and wrestled for the high school. My daughter Madison has been involved in soccer and track at the high school for all 4 years of her high school career. And you know, the coaches and the mentors that she's worked with and that my son worked with in those situations have been invaluable. And I think, you know, that's one thing that's really important that we can't forget is all of the extracurricular activities that are involved in the St. Francis academic community. Those things cannot be undervalued. And, you know, the life lessons that are learning how to take failure and learn from it, learning how to be humble in success, learning how to work as a team, to collaborate, to communicate, to support, to love one another, you know, in the toughest of times. You know, if you think back to your high school times and, you know, those big games that you lost together and a lot of tears were shared and things like that. And, you know, those build character and those build a community, you know, and, you know, again, like it's been said, you know, those things translate into our children's lives, you know, forever. I mean, I have high school memories from sports and athletics and the classroom and training together that I carry with me today. And I also think back to coaches that I had that have been invaluable in the person that I am today. And, you know, most of the coaches are also teachers. Right? So they're in the classroom, they're spending all day grinding it out in a tough job. And then they take on the extracurricular, whether it be the debate team or athletics or whatever, and they continue to work with our kids and build them. And I think for me, that's the community that surrounds all that is I think the greatest thing that we have in the St. Francis school system.
Thank you, Tom. We'll move down to Jake for your response to what makes you proud of the St. Francis Area School District.
So what makes me proud is the preparation that the students are getting. If the students and the families are receiving of that, like I said, it's kind of like a drinking game. Take a shot every time I mention my kids. But I have my daughter who's a self-starter. She's applied to all sorts of dental school without any. She's 7 hours away. She's well prepared. She's living in a dynamic world. She's going on to bigger and better things. You know, we're kind of governing from afar with love and support. And then my son in 11th grade, one of the most proud stories I can tell you about just happened at the beginning of this year when a new student came in and sat down at lunch by himself, and my son walked by and said, "Hey, are you sitting alone? Come join us." So it's kind of the soft skills, the things that aren't necessarily taught, but it's I think think they get that from the great staff and educators we have here, but they get it mainly from the family structures. And around this area, you know, we don't wait around for people to tell us how to do things. We are kind of self-starters, lots of business owners, and lots of people who go out and take life by the horns. So the thing that makes me most proud is I really think we're hitting on that key of preparing our kids for life on their own in a dynamic world, if the kids and the families are ready to receive that and act upon it accordingly.
Thank you, Jake. We'll move down to Quaidwell for his response to what makes you proud of the St. Francis Area School District.
I think I'm proud of a lot of things, and partly some of the stuff that has already been said here. But I think for me, me and my family, we've been welcomed to this district, right? And I think for me, that is one of the things that stands out to me about the district, and that's the reason why I'm also partly one of the reasons why I'm sitting here, because I feel like this community, this district has given us, me and my family, so much that it's time for me to also, you know, contribute to that in kind. My kids consistently talk about the great teachers that they have, and I think teachers don't really get the credit that they deserve. You know what I mean? All the work that they put in. I look at it like going to war, because every single time they enter the classroom with all kinds of behaviors and things like that, but they still have to maintain their composure and still stay focused and try to still deliver their, prepared, class material. They don't get enough credit. They definitely don't get paid, the way they need to be paid. And so I'm proud of that, but they still stick it out. They stay in there because they know there's a higher purpose than just, what they are currently doing. And so they know they are definitely impacting these kids' life. And so I am very, very, very proud of that. And like I said, it's one of the main reasons that I'm here, to make sure that these teachers and these educators get all, and when I say all, I mean all the funding and all the resources that they are entitled to, for them to be able to make those positive influences to our kids. Like Tom said, some of my greatest memories in my life are from teachers that encouraged me, that regardless of what the situation that I'm going in, if I put my mind to it, I can do it. And that's the same thing that I'm seeing in this district.
Thank you, Quaidwell. We'll move down to Rob for your response.
One of the greatest things we have here is our staff. They're so knowledgeable and supportive. I've got kids, I got 4 kids, and they range in different learning abilities, and the staff here is able to accommodate all their different learning abilities. The community here is so supportive. In 2017, we passed a bond that updated a lot of the buildings all the buildings in the district that were so far behind and needed so many updates. Another thing, back to the teachers, is the tech ed department. We have Saints Manufacturing. The welding department there, the teacher steps up, puts in so much extra work. I don't know how many people know it, but MnDOT hires these kids to make parts for their snowplows. It's amazing some of the work that is done in that tech ed department. So just the community and the staff is just what is so great about this community.
Thank you, Rob. We'll move up here to you, Andrea, for your response to what makes you proud of the St. Francis Area School District.
Yeah, so it reiterates what many others have said, but I really think it's just that sense of community. It's what lays the foundation for everyone, especially kids, to feel just supported, and to really thrive. And I think St. Francis does a wonderful job with that. I think my family's been here maybe the shortest, if I remember right, going down the panel, and everybody in the community has been so fabulous and being welcoming and helping us find our way with different things. And so I just think that speaks to the great strength and closeness of the community. And, my boys have participated in some of the sports for the younger kids. And the coaches have been fabulous. You know, not only are they teaching them these early skills of playing, specifically wrestling, but they also teach them, you know, strength and courage. And, you know, when you're worried about something, how you work through that. So it's those daily living, kind of survival mechanisms as well. So just great support all around.
Perfect. Thank you, Andrea. And we'll wrap up question 2 with Jeff. What makes you proud of St. Francis Area School District?
I think it's the same as everybody else. It goes back to the community. The community in the district is so strong and so supporting of everything that's going on in here. You see deep passion among the people in the community. The teachers do a fantastic job with the kids, and it just keeps rolling. The youth programs for the sports, there's great parental support for it. And it's just a great community to be in. So many different things that support. You see the kids that go forward from here, and lots of success and high levels.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. That wraps up the responses to question 2. And we'll move on to the third question, and we'll start with you, Jake, with the first response. And that question is, what prompted you to run for a school board member spot, and what would your goals and objectives be as a member if you were to be elected?
So, when I ran the initial time that I was elected, back in the day, it was my wife and I spend a lot of time with booster clubs and PTOs and donating our time and our money to the school district and being all in with our kids. That was noticed by a bunch of our peers, and they said, hey, you know, maybe one of you should run for school board. I drew the short straw because my wife works Monday nights, and ran and got elected, and I got a lot out of it. I really believe in strong public schools. Whether or not a person believes in public schools, even if a person would be against the public school as a whole, a strong public school system not only benefits society, but it benefits your property values and the community as a whole. So this time, it was that when I had told everyone I'm out after last term, and people kept kind of asking, reconsider, and then I noticed that 4 of the seats were vacated, and at the time there were 4 people not running, and so I was being kind of asked by many different people in our community to consider running again. And I believe that the last time we dealt a lot with COVID, and I was glad to be a voice of our community in that, because it was a time to be brave and to be wise and do what's right by the kids. And now that we're kind of past those things and back onto the focus at hand, which is education, I'm looking forward to again taking input from my constituencies that I represent and bringing those voices to the table. Doing a lot more of what works well and doing a lot less of what doesn't work or shouldn't be done and is distracting us from the job at hand, which is to educate our kids.
Thank you, Jake. We'll move down to you, Quadwell. What prompted you to run for a school board spot, and what would your goals and objectives be as a member if you were to be elected?
Well, I believe in public school and public education, and like Jake said, the benefits to a community is immense. I also really took this into advisement, and I asked myself, what kind of candidate am I going to vote for? What are some of the characteristics, some of the things that I would want to see in a candidate, and do I possess that? The number one thing that I think about, or one of the things that I think about, is independence in thought, right? And we need somebody that can just take the facts as they are, make a decision from it, and not be beholden to anything. The only thing they need to be beholden to is the facts and the truth. Can I be that person? I think I can check myself in there. The other thing that I also think about is there has to be a singular focus on the schools, the teachers, and ultimately our children. what are the resources that we are providing to the schools. The teachers really being, given everything that they need for them to be successful, because if the teachers are successful, guess what? Our children are also successful. I also believe in representation. I know it's a lot that maybe a lot of people don't think about, but if we look in the community, the minority population is slowly growing. And I think I'm uniquely positioned to be able to speak to some of the concerns of minority students as well as their families. So you put all that three together, and I think I would vote for myself. And I think my wife says she would vote for me too. So there we go, 2 votes right there.
Thank you, Quadwell. We'll move down to you, Rob. What prompted you to run for a school board position, and what would your goals and objectives be if you were to be elected?
I come from a family of parents that were very involved in the community. Dad was on the school board back at home in Hinckley-Finlayson High School, where I graduated for 32 years. On the Lions and still on the Lions there. My mother's been part of the community ed there. She ran the swimming department when I was in swimming lessons back in elementary school, and she is still doing it to this day, and she's in her 70s. So it's just kind of in my blood to be involved in the community and on the school board. Also, I have 4 kids that when I first ran 8 years ago in the district, and so I wanted to be involved in the decisions that were made in affecting them.
Thank you, Rob. We'll move back down to this end of the row there, and we'll go to you, Andrea. What prompted you to run for a school board position, and what would your goals and objectives be if you were to be elected?
Yeah. So I've chosen to run, as I noted. I want to be more involved with the community, but the reason I'm running is really twofold. So first, it's really looking at what school is intended for, and that's to teach our children math and English and all the things they need to be successful in this world. Unfortunately, what I've been seeing is, and not necessarily even at the St. Francis level, but even more broadly, Minnesota, higher government, is looking to utilize schools for other purposes. And I want to make sure that we are keeping school at what it is meant to be, and that we are not utilizing it to, in essence, indoctrinate our children into certain beliefs. And so, I think we need to protect the education system from that perspective. The second piece is that I come from the corporate world. In my day-to-day role, it's not uncommon for me to have to look at programs and how can we make them better, both from a budgetary as well as a process perspective. And so I think that's something that would greatly help me in the school board role, bringing that fresh set of eyes and being able to look at things from that perspective.
Thank you, Andrea. We'll move down to you, Jeff, for your response to what prompted you to run for school board, and what would your goals and objectives be if you were to be elected?
Much like life, we get out of it what we put into it. I believe if we want to make the district better, we should be involved in it. I helped with my kids with coaching when they were younger, even with athletics that I didn't have any business coaching, I coached. I think we need to make sure that we keep the school board completely transparent. If we can find a better way to communicate forward, whatever platforms we have, just go forward with that. I think that in decision making, I don't come with preconceived notions or ideas. Part of my job, I do a lot of research, and I know I can't rely on one thing to tell me what I need, so I understand that I need to look at everything from a very broad window, and I think that makes me very perceptive to new ideas or other people's ideas.
Thank you, Jeff. And we will wrap up the third question with you, Tom. What prompted you to run for school board, and what would your goals and objectives be as a member of the board if you were to be elected?
Okay, well, like some others on the stage here, Lynette, my wife, was probably the biggest influence in prompting me to go for the school board. And I think the reason that, she had approached me on that is because I've been heavily involved in lots of volunteerism, throughout this community, throughout the state. I've been president of the high school wrestling booster club, the St. Francis Gladiator Wrestling Club here locally. I'm currently the treasurer of the St. Francis High School Soccer Booster Club. I was the vice president for the governing body for wrestling in the state of Minnesota for 6 years. I sit on a professional board for a company that's outside of my core competency. I'm a very successful executive in business, good, solid decision-making capabilities. I think I bring a lot to the table on that front as far as adding value to the school board, and really good critical thinking, which was brought up in the past as far as looking at what our community needs as it relates to our educational systems. And I too, like Andrea, I do have some concerns about the direction of education in this state, and I think, it's definitely been demonstrated in our test scores and our student performance is that we're seeing a decline. And we're seeing a move away from focus on core curriculum and on excelling academically and preparing our children for careers beyond school. And we're getting off into the weeds with lots of confusing topics, everything from, in my mind, pronouns to gender confusion to all sorts of things that are really should be dealt with in the home by parents and not dealt with in the schools by teachers. They need to focus on doing their job that they're excellent at, and that's teaching core curriculum. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you, Tom. That wraps up the third question, and we'll move on to the fourth question. And we'll start with you, Quadewell, for the first response on this question. As an individual school board member, how would you handle a situation where the board takes a position which you do not agree with? What if that position was something you actively campaigned on? I'll repeat the question one more time. As an individual school board member, how would you handle a situation where the board takes a position which you do not agree with? What if that position was something you actively campaigned on?
So what I believe in is, and I talked about it, independence in terms of thought, right? And so I might believe in something that, truly passionate about one point or the other. But I think at the end of the day, it's a board, not, if I'm fortunate enough to be voted in, not K's school board. It's a school board, right? And so everybody is going to come to this with, different perspectives to whatever it is that we are talking about. And so if I will argue my case out, and hopefully the facts bear out that this is the reason why I think this is the direction that we should go. Now, if the rest of the team, decides to go a different direction, I think I'll be okay with it. But I will, I need to be able to explain my position, and I need to be able to explain my position not only on the board but also to the community. And so even if the team doesn't go for it, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? I will, push for consensus on the team. But if they are passionate and strongly lay out their positions that this is not where we are going with, I'll be okay with it. At least I know I passionately fought from what I believed in, and it didn't come up.
Thank you, Quadewell. We'll move down to Rob for your response. I can read the question again. I know it's kind of lengthy. As an individual school board member, how would you handle a situation where the board takes a position which you do not agree with? What if that position was something you actively campaigned on?
Being on the board for 8 years, there's been a number of votes that I've been on the losing side of it. I go into the meetings and I advocate for my side and I push for it, but I don't always get what I want. But after the board has voted, we are one voice. So I go with what the board votes on. So even though I don't like some of the outcomes, I go with what the board has approved.
Thank you, Rob. We'll move up here to the front of the row here to Andrea. Do you want me to repeat it again, or are you? Okay.
Yeah, similar to the others. I mean, I'll make my perspective and stance clear on whatever the topic is, but at the end of the day, it is a joint decision. And if the majority has decided to go one way, if it ever comes back around, I'll of course make my perspective clear again, but at that point, the majority have spoken, and so we'll have to go that direction. In some ways, we're a team, even if we don't agree.
Thank you, Andrea. Now we'll move over to you, Jeff, for your response.
Well, we're not all going to agree on everything, but we just have to accept that. Sometimes we don't get our way, and we just need to move on. We can make our points for what we believe in, but it's not 1, it's 7. So we just have to move forward with the decision and accept it.
Thank you, Jeff. We'll move down to you, Tom, for your response. Would you like it repeated again? Okay. As an individual school board member, how would you handle a situation where the board takes a position which you do not agree with? What if that position was something you actively campaigned on?
Well, I mean, I believe that, if elected to the school board, I would have been put in that position to represent, the values of the people that put me in that chair. And that's going to be a difficult situation for me because, part of my role is potentially to change some hearts and some minds. And it's going to be very difficult for me to compromise, my values and a position in something that I'm 100% committed to. I'm a little bit of a rock that way. And quite honestly, I think that's exactly what the school board needs. I'm not going to roll over easy. If it's something that I'm extremely passionate about and believe in, it's probably going to be a fight. And it's probably going to be a difficult meeting. And it's probably going to be uncomfortable. And quite honestly, I'm okay with that. I'm not going in, I didn't volunteer or sign up for this role to go be the popular guy on the school board. I'm running for this to bring my values and what I believe in into that room. And if it's going to be a little bit of a fight, it's going to be a little bit of a fight. I grew up on the mean streets of Coon Rapids. That's a joke. But no, and that's what we want. At the end of the day, yes, decisions will have to be made, but and I will support the decisions of the board. I will be a team of the board. However, it is extremely important that the positions that I hold strong and true to my heart, that those are fully understood and comprehended by everybody on the board. And maybe there's somebody in another chair that's saying, I kind of like where Tom's at on this all of a sudden, right? And all of a sudden you move one person and all of a sudden things shift. 12 angry men, right? So, I'm going to hold to my convictions and we'll work together to get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And we will wrap up the 4th question with Jake's response. Would you like it repeated again?
No, thank you.
Okay.
So like everyone had said and like it's known, once a decision is made, you fall behind that as a board. But if your side that you have brought to the table, the voices of the people you're representing, either if it's some sort of disgruntled employee faction, or if it's some concerned parents over this, or it's something that's wronged or something that's right, and that needs to be brought, you fight fiercely and you fight smartly. And you keep at it, and we change minds, and you compromise on your own situations to come to a consensus that's good for the students and our customers, which is the beneficial education that they're receiving. So, we live in an area that's like probably 60-40% conservative majority, maybe 70-30 at times. And so the boards that are elected are usually conservative in that matter. And I believe that's important. That's why it's hard to take some of the mandates from the state and enact them just blanket wise, because I believe in local control is the best control in politics. Closer to that's why things like No Child Left Behind and whatever, and all these tests that are just blanketed often fail and don't really mean much, they say, because it's set up by a bunch of suits in Washington. So we need to listen to our experts, which is our families, the parents of these kids, the educators that live in our community, the people from our area, and we take those voices to the table and we fight like hell to get what we feel is right.
Thank you, Jake. That wraps up the responses to the fourth question. We will move on to the fifth question, and we will start with you, Rob, for the first response on this one. What is the most important aspect of what ISD 15 does for our community?
Saving the best question for last here. I don't know that I can pinpoint it to one, because the school district serves all ages. So the main thing is, what's in the school buildings during the school day, but we also have early childhood and senior involvement. So I don't know that I can pinpoint one thing. So can you repeat it again one more time? Sorry.
What is the most important aspect of what ISD 15 does for our community?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just drawing a blank as far as the aspect, so I'm just going to go with what I just said.
Sounds good. All right, we'll move to you, Andrea. What is the most important aspect of what ISD 15 does for our community?
I would say, it's what they do for our children. It's the education they get, the team involvement they get, the life skills they get. Everything that makes them into the best human beings they can be while they're in school, but then post.
Thank you, Andrea. Move down to you, Jeff, for your response. What is the most important aspect of what ISD 15 does for the community?
I think ISD 15 provides the anchor for the community. It brings everybody together, from youth to grandparents, whether it be athletic events, school events. It brings everyone together. I think that's the most important part. And then there's other facets that come from it, from the continuing ed to the shop classes in high school to the early education that it provides. I think the best way I can put it is that it provides the anchor for the community.
Thank you, Jeff. We'll move on to Tom for your response to what is the most important aspect of what ISD 15 does for the community.
Yeah, so ISD 15, in my mind, we're not talking about the school board anymore. We're talking about the schools, the school system, right? And so it's educating our kids. It's creating opportunities for our kids to grow through extracurricular activities. It's engaging with the community. It's helping to develop, providing a safe place for our children, when they're at school. What greater calling is that? It provides excellent employment opportunities for folks that want to go into teaching and developing kids. The schools are really the heartbeat of the community in many ways. You go to Friday Night Lights, go to the football game. You see people from all aspects of the community coming together, cheering on the team. It's about community, like Rob had said, it goes beyond just the kids. It's the seniors. It's early childhood education. And it's, hopefully it's a foundation for mirroring our values. And I think, ISD 15, from what I've heard that people that I work with, I'd like to commend the school board for really how we dealt through COVID. I think we were able to move through some of the protocols that weren't helpful relatively quickly. We got our kids back to school, sooner than many of the folks that I knew. And, I think we place a lot of importance on that educational experience that the kids are getting at school. And boy, did they miss it during COVID when the kids were home. What a huge loss. And so what this school system provides to our families and our kids throughout the community is completely invaluable.
Thank you, Tom. We'll move down to Jake for your response to what is the most important aspect of what ISD 15 does for the community.
The thing I like about our school district and what it does in our community is it seems it's a good finger on the pulse of our community. Like Rob had mentioned earlier with Saints Manufacturing, and now there's like an auto mechanics class. We're looking at moving things, or they're looking at moving things into the trades, realizing that college isn't for everyone. It's being responsive to your customer, and your customer is the students and the families that are attending. I know I'm an electrician, I'm an electrical contractor, and I could be the greatest electrician in the world with the best prices, selling things that nobody wants, and that's not going to do anyone any good. I like how, if you want to be in sports, we have many opportunities for both the student athletes, but then their families and their grandparents and the community to enjoy. Likewise, if you're more academic, there's things like speech, debate, or if you're in things like if you're more artsy, we have a fabulous theater program. I'd highly recommend anyone checking the plays. I've seen plays here that rival anything I've seen in cities. So I just like how we're a true test of the surrounding community. I don't think I think a lot of the political stuff back and forth, if people take a step back and look at how things are going in the schools and on the school board, it seems like it can be fairly representative and good for what you're looking for in that angle. So I just appreciate, I think we're really focused on the students, and then that extrapolates across the board into the families, and then even those constituents that are represented and not part of the families in the school themselves.
Thank you, Jake. And we'll wrap up this question with Quaidwell's response to what is the most important aspect of what ISD 15 does for our community.
So I think it's a lot of important things. I think the list is very long, but I think at the top of that is education. I mean, no two ways about that. But I think leaving education, I think that for me, I think it's creating a welcoming and safe space for our children to be able to learn, I think is very, very high on my list. Because if kids feel safe, they feel welcome, it opens up a whole bunch of stuff, right? Teachers feel safe, they feel welcome, that the school district and the schools actually want them. It opens them up to a lot of different things. Now they start to take ownership of the things that they're doing in school, as opposed to, I'm gonna just teach what I need to teach and walk away from it. So education is the biggest, but kind of creating some of these safe spaces for kids to come and be themselves and be able to be open for teachers to pour into them. And that goes a long way, because an educated community, it's a good community.
Thank you, Quaidwell. That wraps up our fifth question. I think we got 8 o'clock right on the money right now. Do we want to do? Okay, we'll move on. Well, sounds like we got time for one more question, and then we'll do closing statements, and then we'll probably be right on time to wrap up. All right, so let's see, so we'll start with you, Andrea, on this question. How would you plan to connect and communicate with older adults within the school district community? I can repeat it one more time too.
Sure.
Okay. How would you plan to connect and communicate with older adults within the school district community?
Yeah. I think probably the most important thing is getting out into the community, going and meeting with them, where they are, to be able to have conversations on, what their expectations are and what's important to them and where they think there's opportunities and what's going well, and making sure that there's representation there.
Thank you, Andrea. We'll move to you, Jeff. How would you plan to connect and communicate with older adults within the school district community?
I think today we have to figure out a different way to communicate with every different group that we can. There's people that communicate with Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, a multitude of different places. We should have stuff available in print. We should find if there's local senior groups that we can connect with, if we can provide some context for them. We just have to get out there and figure out where we can find everybody. We can't just communicate on one platform, or we'll never reach everyone.
Thank you, Jeff. Excuse me. Thank you, Jeff. We'll move down to Tom for your response to how would you plan to connect and communicate with older adults within the school district community?
Thanks, Jordan. Great question. I definitely didn't predict this question or think it would come up, but it's extremely important. And I guess depending on your definition, I may be in that category. I mean, my kids probably say that I would be. So, I think I really like what Jeff said. I think communications with seniors is extremely important. We need to find ways to be as transparent as possible as a school board and to bridge those gaps, whether that's newsletters or flyers or, having town halls at different locations that are convenient. Those would all be awesome. But internet, like say Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, public forums, and communications is going to be one of the most important things that we do as a school board, because that brings transparency, and then that brings collaboration throughout the community, and that's where our strength is going to come from collectively. So with that, I'll pass to Jake.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. We'll move on to you, Jake. How would you plan to connect and communicate with older adults within the school district community?
Yeah, like Tom said, I'd have to meet some younger people. But I consider Juanita a friend. I've been on boards with her, huge in this community, in contact with a lot of people. And, she had always said, hey, we need the communications too. I find that there's a lot of empty seats at a lot of different venues being because, most of the district emails are going out just to the people involved in the theater or the band or whatever, when these are actually quite entertaining and a cheap date night out and about, and very enjoyable. So something I did back when I was on the board was we would invite groups that are, either from daycares or on the other end of the spectrum as well, to either, we purchase as a booster club a bunch of tickets and donate them and say, hey, come on, you're welcome as our guest, no cost to you. And I believe something like that, you want to build community beyond just the people that are involved in the activity itself.
Thank you, Jake. We'll move down to you, Quaidwell, for your response to how you would plan to connect and communicate with older adults within the school district community.
Well, I wish I had a novel answer or something, strategic to say outside of what everybody has already said. But, you invite the community, you send things out and people don't respond, then you're not communicating it the right way. So testing things. I mean, emails, not a lot of people open emails. Is it flyers? Is it actually pounding the pavement, really going out and talking to people? Is it making, these communication things available when there's a football game, things like that? I think there has to be a lot of different things that get tried out and then see what the community responds to. And that's basically what we go with, because we can't just assume that everybody is looking at emails or going online or opening the mail or things like that.
Thank you, Quadwell. We will move down to Rob for your response to how you would plan to connect and communicate with older adults within the school district community.
Yeah, we used to have the Courier when I was first on the board, which was a monthly newspaper that the school district actually printed. But due to financial stuff, we had to get rid of that, and now we do a newsletter, but it's not as often. But in there it has updates from the schools and community ed offerings. And I think the community ed is a great way for those in the community to see what's going on here. I mean, Lunch Bunch, even though I've never attended one, everybody that I talk to that has been to one just raves about it. So I'm hoping that word spreads through just how great the programs are through community ed, that people realize how many different offerings there are here.
Thank you, Rob. That wraps up the sixth question. Do we want to... Oh, there you are. Should I read these and then do closing? Or?
Please read
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we got a couple typed up responses from some of the candidates that couldn't be here tonight due to prior obligations. So I'm going to read through. Here's a response from Chad Working. It says, "Hello, I'm Chad Working. I appreciate the opportunity to run for school board in the great ISD 15. I was born and raised in the northern metro area of Minnesota, a 2001 graduate of Spring Lake Park High School, and have a bachelor's degree in corporate finance from the University of Minnesota, Mankato. I'm a family-first man of faith. St. Francis is a community where my wife, Destiny, 3 children, and I have called home for the last 10 years. I have volunteered for multiple events in ISD 15, which include track and field day, classroom mentoring, and field trips. I have also been a youth football, soccer, and basketball coach for 7 years. It's a mentor and leadership role I take very seriously and is the reason for my absence tonight. I am personally invested in ISD 15 because of my 2nd, 6th, and 8th grade children. I want the best education for them and all students. I will be committed to advocate for building community, school safety, and post-education readiness through communication and feedback. I will consider the wants and needs of our parents, teachers, and staff when making decisions. I will stand for what's best for our students and make difficult decisions unbiased to what other districts or the state may be doing. I will be committed to represent you. Thank you, and God bless. Chad Working." Was there another one? Okay. All right. So we'll move on to the closing statements from each of the candidates that are here tonight. And we'll start with Jeff for your closing statement. And these will also just be 1 minute closing statements.
I think there's a lot of stuff we need to look at for the district going forward. There's the levies that are probably going to become present. We have many mandates from the state going through the education that the teachers and the district have to follow. When we don't like those mandates, it's not necessarily our best process to fight them, but to work within them. We need to just continue working forward and working together as a school board instead of against each other. It seems that would be the best way to go forward, I believe. It shouldn't be a political position. It should be just a common sense position. Use the KISS method. Keep it simple. Leave out the other part.
Thank you, Jeff. We'll move down to Tom for his closing statements.
Thank you for coming tonight, everyone. Appreciate it. It's good to see, the community involved and seeing what's happening with the school board. Personally, I'm proud to be running for the school board. I think that I do bring a lot to the position. And, when you look at the concept of high-performing teams, you have a lot of dynamic personalities that have excellent, strong backgrounds. integrity and a work ethic that is second to none. And, with me, I'm going to bring, a sense of faith and a sense of values and integrity to every decision that I'm involved with on the school board if elected. And, work tirelessly, on behalf of the academic community, the families, the teachers, and the educational system in this community. And, so I'm asking for, your vote, the community's vote, so that we can make the school board the best one in the state.
Thank you, Tom. We'll move down to you, Jake, for your closing statements.
So I'd like to start with a quick story. My wife was a Girl Scout leader from when my daughter Tess and her friends, a couple of friends early on, all the way through like 10th grade when there ended up being 30 kids in that Girl Scout group. I say this a lot, but 24 of them, 22 or 24 of them were National Honor Society kids. It's not that we got lucky and this was like some super smart group. What I think it was these kids all had in common families that showed up, love of their kids, and support through all good times and bad. I've raised successful kids. I think a lot of us have, and we know what it takes. And I am the type of representative that I would vote for and that you could count on. Whether we agree or disagree, I will answer your phone call. I will meet you. I will have a text. I'll have an email. Your voice is important to me. It's got barely anything to do with me. I'm serving as a vessel to bring your voice to the table. I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. We'll move down to you, Quadewell, for your closing statements.
I just want to thank everybody for making the time for this. I think it's important. I think also by our answers here, I think you guys pretty much have a good understanding and idea of what kind of candidates that you have. Obviously, you vote for who passions and whose information that we've given more aligns to what you believe in. I think when it comes to me, like I said, it's a very singular process for me and a singular focus. The schools, our teachers, our children. That's it. Everything else, it's sidelined. None of that stuff comes in. And once we focus on these three, I think we'll be able to make our district rival any of the better districts that are everywhere. We are able to attract the best teachers and we are able to keep them in this district. And that will be a benefit for all our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Quadewell. We'll move down to Rob for your closing statements.
Yeah, I also would like to thank those in the audience, those at home, for coming and trying to be part of the process and being involved in knowing who the candidates are. It's you out there that is going to decide who gets on the board. I would appreciate everyone's vote, as I have done a good job over the last 8 years with communicating with the public, being very involved in what's going on in the district, being a good steward of the taxpayers' money by building a healthy fund balance. So I would appreciate your vote. My information is online if you want to call, text, email, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And we will wrap up the closing statements with Andrea.
All right. So I'd like to thank all of you as well. And, something that I did with my job here recently is we all took personality tests. I'm sure many of you have taken them before, just to understand how you function within a team. And where I rated highest was as an observer. So I sit and I take all the content in, all the facts in, and then I make decisions and help figure out the best path forward. And I think that's something that would be very helpful on the school board in making tough decisions and making sure that we're taking into account what's best for the students, what's best for the teachers, and what the community stands for. And so I think that's a unique characteristic trait of myself. So thank you again.
Wonderful. We're a little bit over time, but we were doing really well there, so I wanted to just give a little bit extra. Barb, would you raise your hand, please? Juanita, would you raise your hand, please? Haley, would you raise your hand, please? Jordan's obviously up here. This event wouldn't be possible without the help of you and others who sat on our committee. Dax, our communications guy, is in the back. He was an integral part. Nancy was here. I think she may have left just a little bit ago. She had a prior engagement. When candidates filed, we gave everyone a save the date paper to remind them of this night. We've worked really hard since last October. We started this process, or excuse me, 2 Octobers ago, we started this process planning for this. So a lot of work has gone into this. We vetted questions from the community. We've updated, we emailed all of the candidates several questions to answer. There were 3, maybe 4. Those are on our website, those that have answered. If you haven't answered or other candidates haven't answered, they want to send those in. We will gladly update the website as those come in. And then we prepared for tonight. A recording will be available on our website. It's saved on our YouTube channel, but you can get on the recording and you can send other people to that link to watch it if they'd like. School districts, for obvious reasons, have to take a nonpartisan stance in this whole process. And so that's what we've done here. We believe we've done here. It's what we've tried to do here, is to give you all the platform to access information on the candidates that are up here. One of the questions that we asked in our email was, where can people find more information out about your candidacy? So please go to the website if you want to learn more about any of the candidates. Their information is available on the Secretary of State website. So if you feel like you need to contact them directly to ask some additional questions, I'm just telling you what your legal rights are, right? Feel free to do that. This is a wonderful, wonderful country we live in, and the right to vote is just imperative that we teach that to our kids and we proactively cultivate that in our community. But please vote in a way that you're educated in. Don't just blindly cast a ballot. Get educated, find out what you believe in, what you value. We've heard a lot about values today, and one of the values in our community is the right to vote. So please encourage people to get out and do that and engage in your constitutional rights that you have as citizens in this great country. Thank you for coming. We would ask everyone, if you wanted extra time, candidates, feel free to hang out in the lobby. Members of the community, feel free to mingle, feel free to ask questions. We will push you out at 9 o'clock. So that gives you a little bit of time. Thank you all for coming. A round of applause for our candidates tonight.